Hey there, welcome to the channel. We're talking about one of the most intense times of labor, and that's called transition. And I've put together my 5 top tips to get you through transition, and we are going to go through all 5 today. Let's start with number 1, and that is have good support. The thing about transition is that there is often this psychological phenomenon that happens to your brain in transition, in that transition phase, which is the last 2 centimeters of dilation of your cervix. So the technical definition is when your cervix is between 8 centimeters and 10 centimeters, you're in transition. And this is the time of labor that contractions are the longest, they're the strongest, and they're the closest together. And a lot of times what we experience in our mind is that we are done. We don't want to be there. We feel like we can't do it anymore. We hit the wall, kind of like the metaphorical wall of labor, where we no longer have a flow. We no longer can't believe in ourselves. We are ready to sometimes change our plans from not getting an epidural to getting an epidural. And it's just a really tough time. And one way to get through this tough time is to have a good support team in place. So that might be just your partner, or it could be your partner and a doula. And these people who are supporting you, it is a great time for them to remind you of your desires, to remind you of how strong you are, to remind you that you are ready there, and really to almost like step in and give some really close support of ideas on what to do next. And I find that having that good support person when you're unmedicated and in transition, it's really critical. It's critical. You need someone right there by your side. Now, not everyone, but I would say most of us really can benefit by having a good support person who knows that sign of transition, who knows to identify like this seems like transition, and to get in there and really be supportive of their partner or a doula of their client in labor. Good support. It's huge. Tip number 2 is use water. Being in the tub during transition is an excellent place to be. It can take the edge off of those long, strong, intense contractions. A lot of times people call it a aquadural instead of an epidural. So if you can't, for whatever reason, if you don't have access to a tub or can't get into a tub, getting into a shower is also a great place to be in transition and can help just take the edge off of your intensity that you're experiencing at this time. Number 3 is layers. Now, what I mean by layers is transition is the time that we want to layer up all of our strategies. We're not just going to utilize one strategy for dealing with transition. We want to use everything. We want to use our breathing and our movement and our vocalization, our visualization. We want to set a beautiful environment to make us feel comfortable. We want to have our support person right there. All of these tools layered up together is going to be key to making the most of these coping strategies and getting through this really challenging, for most people, time of labor. And if you are wondering what the heck am I talking about and these tools don't seem familiar to you, then it's a great time to take a childbirth class. And I have an online childbirth class that can fit into any schedule. And I teach all the tools in it that you can use to layer up your transition strategy. I'm going to put a link in the description down below if you're looking for one. Now, we are 3 out of 5 tips in. If you have found any of these tips helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. And I would love to get your thoughts on what you think might be helpful in transition. Okay, tip number 4, I call it switch-ups. And what I mean by this is using these like small increments of coping techniques to get through this time. Now, transition can be as short as 15 minutes and can be as long as a couple hours. But if you can break it up into small chunks of using different strategies, it can really help the time go by. So having a support person help you through this is really important. So that would be like your doula says to you, let's do 3 contractions on the toilet. And then after that, 3 contractions on the birth ball. Then after that, let's do 3 contractions leaning over the bed. And then let's do 3 contractions, or get into the shower for 30 minutes. Like breaking this up in bite size and kind of redirecting, and then all of a sudden it's time to push. That is really the tip here when I'm talking about switch ups. Our fifth tip and our final tip is to get some perspective on where you are. So a lot of times when we hit that transition phase in labor, we don't really know we're in transition. It's almost like we can't recognize the signs in ourselves. And so to have a support person say to you, I think you're really close, you're almost there, gives you that extra little power of energy to get through it. If you are running a marathon and you're about to give up and you're about to stop, but you turn the corner and you can see the finish line, of course you can make it, right? It makes a huge difference. So sometimes just having some perspective told to you from an outside source can help. This could look like a doula letting you know that your contractions have gotten longer, stronger, closer together, and it looks like a transition time. You might want to get a cervical check at this time. You might want to get some actual confirmation that you're in transition, especially if you're on the edge of changing your birth plan or maybe thinking that you want to go for an epidural. It's a great time to get a cervical check for a lot of people to know where they are. So I know I've worked with lots of clients that once they get a cervical check and find out that they only have a small way to go, maybe they're a centimeter or two to left to go, and they had thought in their head that they had, maybe 5 centimeters left, then they go back to their coping strategies with so much more energy, and they have that perspective that can help get them to the end. Okay, transition can be long and hard, but I hope these tips will help you make it as smooth as possible. And I'm going to leave a link right here to another top 5 video that I think that you will enjoy as you prepare for labor. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, I'd love for you to be a subscriber. I know that there are a lot of videos here that you'll find helpful as you get ready for your big day. Thanks for joining me today. Bye, everybody.